Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to this first annual convention for inclusive growth. I'm Shada Islam. I'm Director of Policy at Friends of Europe, which is an independent think tank based here in Brussels. It's my pleasure and my privilege to moderate this opening session of this conference. You will see that there is interpretation, the numbers are there, and please do tweet. The Twitter hashtag is there as well. Without further ado, I'm actually going to turn the floor now to Commissioner Marianne Thyssen to get us started on what I hope and I believe is going to be a very exciting and stimulating day. Commissioner, may I ask you please to come up to the lectern?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am very pleased to welcome you here today and indeed to kick off this first convention for inclusive growth. I would also like to thank my services for their excellent work in organizing this convention. The convention represents a firm commitment on our part in the European Commission to reconnect policy-making at European level with your experience and work as civil society organizations. The convention signals also the new approach of this Commission to civil dialogue. By putting inclusive growth at the forefront, it highlights the importance of strengthening the social dimension of the European Union in all its facets by fighting poverty, by building societies that are more cohesive, by modernizing social protection and promoting social investment, or by improving employment opportunities and activation. This new approach builds on the lessons learned to develop a flexible and output-oriented structure. Our ambition for this convention is to foster a greater engagement and deeper dialogue with all stakeholders active in social and employment issues. Our aim is to make this dialogue more effective in working towards the Europe 2020 targets for poverty and employment. We want a stronger, impact-oriented, social, open method of coordination. We need to ensure that social is properly taken up in the European semester. Indeed, one of the main objectives of this Commission, as said by President Jean-Claude Juncker, is to create a Europe worthy a social AAA. Some of you are asking what a social AAA stands for. For me, there is no doubt it is an ambition, indeed a commitment, that the economic strengthening of our Union goes hand in hand with improving people's lives. This is the core of the European social model and a vital component of our social market economy. In my view, a AAA social Europe requires fair and balanced growth that leads to equal opportunities and adequate protection for all throughout their life cycle and the creation of decent quality jobs. This Commission has put fairness at the core of its agenda. I am convinced that it is only by ensuring that social considerations are better integrated in all European policy areas that we will truly achieve a social Europe. The Commission has already taken concrete steps to make sure Europe deserves a AAA rating. Allow me to mention some of them. We immediately took actions to help young people who were worst hit by the crisis, to improve their opportunities through the Youth Guarantee. We issued guidance to get the long-term unemployed back to work and break the poverty and exclusion cycle. And we launched the Accessibility Act to allow disabled, but also other people like the elderly, to participate more fully in work and society and give them more opportunities and chances in their everyday life. Within the European semester, we have deepened the analysis of employment and social performance, also by adding 3 employment indicators to the scoreboard of the alert mechanism report underpinning the macroeconomic imbalance procedure. Work is also underway in the 2016 agenda on a fresh start to promote work-life balance for working parents, both men and women, and caretakers. And before summer, we will present a European skills agenda to equip people in Europe with the right skills, with a lifelong learning perspective, to help them enter and move up in the labour market. In parallel with these concrete initiatives, on the 8th of March, we launched a broad consultation on a first concrete outline of the European Pillar of Social Rights. President Juncker announced this initiative in his State of the Union address in September last year. The consultation will collect stakeholders' views, including of national parliaments, the European Parliament, social partners and civil society. The consultation outcome will form the basis for a Commission proposal for the pillar early in 2017. Why a pillar of social rights? The European social model is a success story. The European Union is today the largest economy in the world, and its citizens enjoy very high living standards. Our social model has effectively contributed to the prosperity and progress of our societies. It is indeed a fundamental element of our growth model, addressing inequalities and social disadvantage, opening up opportunities for all to participate in society and economy, and acting as a buffer and stabilizing the economy. But it is also more than that. Our social model and its values define the type of society we are and aspire to be. These shared European values have materialized over time in a whole set of social rights which are enshrined in national and European laws as well as fundamental rights. At the same time, we need to screen whether the European social model is still fit for purpose. We are confronted with long-term challenges like globalization, aging society, and changing work patterns. It is vital that we embrace and harness the opportunities that they offer, as it is vital to respond effectively to make sure that these new changes don't lead people on a path to precariousness. We are also still confronted with the aftermath of the crisis. The crisis has exacerbated existing social problems. It has widened the disparities both between and within member states. It has increased inequality in our societies, thrown too many families into poverty, made it difficult for young people to realize their potential on the job market, and has put our social protection systems under severe strain. It is time for a reality check. Are our European Union and our member states' policies and social affairs in the broad sense of the word still up to date? Are they fit for purpose in the 21st century? For this, we need a compass for renewed convergence, particularly within the euro area. Our economic and monetary union needs to become stronger and more stable, both economically and socially. This is what the Pillar of Social Rights is about. The pillar is built around 3 headings. The first heading is equal opportunities and access to the labour market. The second is fair working conditions. And the third is about social rights in society. Within these 3 headings, the pillar sets out 20 areas of social rights ranging from minimum income, childcare and housing, to working conditions and work-life balance. Each domain contains a number of concrete principles which are based on existing rights. These principles are considered essential for labour markets and welfare systems that are fair, inclusive and that function properly. They take account of economic and social considerations, of the wide diversity of situations in Europe, as well as the changing realities on the ground. This debate is also taking place in international organizations. The future of work is being debated at Davos, in the OECD and in the ILO. It's important that we also take a comprehensive view in Europe. The problems are common and so are the solutions. That is why this consultation is addressed to all member states. But it is particularly important for the Eurozone. Reducing the heterogeneity of social and labour market policies is essential for the smooth functioning and stability of the economic and monetary union. So the pillar of social rights will, in first instance, be for the member states of the euro area, but other member states are welcome to join, and the debate, of course, the debate is open to everyone. Dear Minister, ladies and gentlemen, the consultation we launched on 8 March aims to trigger a truly public debate on social values and rights. We need to discuss concretely how the European social model must adapt to the 21st century and how we will achieve this. Our aim is to reach out to all corners of Europe and to involve as many people as possible from all walks of life so that the pillar is representative and realistic in the context of a rapidly changing world. Finally, we want to hear from you, civil society in particular, and all our stakeholders. We want your views, we want your feedback on the outline of the pillar. We want your opinions on its scope and content with a view to strengthening the social dimension of Europe. We want to discuss the specific principles proposed and to explore the real challenges. The consultation will remain open until the end of this year. I look forward for the debate that will surely follow. Dear Minister, ladies and gentlemen, a core value of the European Union is its ability to respond to the global challenges that European societies and economies face. The legitimacy of the European Union lies in its ability to give credible answers to the real problems of people in Europe, the plight of people at risk of poverty, or of the unacceptably high numbers of youth and long-term unemployed in our member states, or of the growing divergences in our societies and the harmful effect this has on our potential recovery. This is the reason why we have set ourselves ambitious social goals in this Commission mandate, and why we put people at the heart of all we do. That is especially evident in the proposal we have put forward for a European Pillar of Social Rights and in all steps we take to achieve a social AAA for Europe. As you will now hear from my colleague beside me and now in front of me, the Dutch presidency of the Council also calls for more democratic legitimacy in European decision-making. Together, we urge your active involvement as representatives of European citizens in our policy response to the challenges of today and tomorrow. This is essential to ensure that their voice is heard and that their best interests are protected in this fast-changing world. Thank you all for your participation, and thank you specifically, Minister Klijnsma, to be here present also today. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Commissioner Thyssen, for explaining why we're here today for this convention and the way that lies ahead as we construct this social pillar that you have given details of. And your goal, of course, I find that very impressive, is constructing the Social Europe AAA. Thank you very much indeed for your introduction. It sets the ground for our discussions later on. It's now my pleasure to ask Minister Jetta Klijnsma, Social Secretary of State for Social Affairs and Employment, to please come up to the stage.
Ja, dames en heren, goedemorgen.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It always takes a bit of organization for getting me to be able to address you. Standing is a bit of a problem for me, and so I like to sit. But when you then find yourself seated right in the beam of the light from the projector, it means I cannot really see you. But I'm very pleased to be here on this Monday morning. And I'm very pleased indeed that so many people have come here in order to think hard with us about how we can ensure how Europe can be made more social, because it is so important. Mrs. Thyssen, Commissioner Thyssen, you have already commented on this, but I think that you're obviously doing your very best in order to ensure that the social pillar is put in place, because the social pillar must ensure that people throughout Europe can be involved too. And I want to make my contribution on that front this morning. So it's a great pleasure to be here. You'll understand that I want to start by thanking Commissioner Thyssen, though, for her kind words, because I think she has shown that she's got a real feel for the social agenda. At the start of this convention, I think it's good to stop and think about what exactly we're talking about, because what exactly is inclusive growth? What do we want to grow towards? And what exactly will this journey entail? In the Netherlands, children like to play a memory game called I'm going on a journey and I'm going to take along. It's a game, and each child, when it's its turn, has to work out which item they want to take on the journey. And each time somebody has a new item, and then the next child has to list all the items listed so far. So the longer the list, the fuller the suitcase, the more difficult it becomes. And whoever forgets to list one of the items already mentioned loses. Now, a well-stocked suitcase is a fine thing on a trip, but I must say that I'm far more interested in the people I go on a journey with. Because, of course, on the journey, you can meet an awful lot of different people, or travel with a lot of different people. And obviously, diversity is central. But it's central too in society and at the workplace. And obviously, this is something we talk about a lot. At the workplace, you have to encounter young people, older people with a disability or without, heterosexual, homosexual. Everybody has to be involved, whatever their colour. We just don't want any discrimination, either in our society nor at the workplace. And so, if you think about society living together, you must make sure that no one is left behind. So going on a journey, you must leave no one behind. They want more than just a look at your holiday snaps when you get back. So what we're talking about, I suppose, is inclusive growth. And that's what the Commissioner emphasized too. Growth that benefits everyone, not just a couple of people with fat wallets. So we want jobs, prosperity and opportunities for us all. think that the real future lies only in inclusive growth. And a society that grows crookedly can never be stable, because that would lead to exclusion and deprivation. And of course, it all starts with the children going on this journey. They have to be well educated, because all children have to be able to come along on the journey and then find their place on the labour market. Those two go together. And in my words to you today, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to touch on combating poverty, because I think we have all signed up to the idea of an inclusive labour market. But if people cannot actually join the labour market or can only find small jobs with low incomes, it's likely that they will end up in poverty. And that's not the intention at all. In 2010, right at the beginning of 2010, I visited Madrid. And Secretary of State from throughout Europe were in Madrid for the launch of the European Year for Combating Poverty and Social Exclusion. And we agreed that we should set ourselves the target of having 20 million fewer people in poverty in Europe by 2020. We all know what became of that. In fact, as the Commissioner has already referred to, instead of fewer people ending up in poverty, we've had more people ending up in poverty. And so, with the Netherlands presidency in this 6 months, we decided that it would be important to give priority to combating poverty on the European agenda. And fortunately, everyone agreed to that. During the Dutch presidency, we're trying to ensure we can promote the exchange of knowledge and best practices in the field of combating poverty. And today's convention is an outstanding opportunity for that. I, of course, want to draw political attention to combating poverty, too, by having Council conclusions adopted. These conclusions are currently being worked on in the Social Protection Committee, and it's expected that they'll be adopted by the EPSCO Council in June. But I think that poverty is best combated at the local level by people themselves, by focusing on an individual or a family, and with them looking at how the problems can best be solved. Because poverty has many different roots and many different effects in many different areas, such as work, care, housing, and education. And if you have no income, then there's a very big chance that you won't be able to pay for your care or your rent, and problems just pile up. An integrated approach is essential. You have to look at the different parts of a person's life, which means cooperation between the different parties concerned, public and private. Civil society and the NGOs mean that we don't all have unique knowledge, but we can each approach the target group in our own unique way, because each part of civil society or each NGO has a very valuable piece of the puzzle needed to combat poverty. And looking around the room, I think all these different parts of the puzzle are well represented today. And I want to mention one piece of the puzzle specifically. The experts by experience are present, like members of the European Anti-Poverty Network. Experts by experience are people who live in poverty or have lived in poverty and are now helping those living in poverty. And I regard Belgium in that sense as a best practice when it comes to using experts by experience, because I think that there are now some 130 experts by experience working in the social services on debt counselling and other matters. And I think it's great the way these people have tackled the setbacks in their own lives and turned them around into something positive. On the one hand, they've got personal growth in the form of employment and income for those experts, but on the other hand, very valuable backup for people who need it. And the knowledge of the experts by experience brings a great deal of added value. The Flemish expert by experience, Marianne, has even said, I understand how difficult it is for people. I can show respect for their story. Care providers don't ask how you're feeling inside, and that's something I used to think was missing. In the Netherlands, a number of municipalities are now looking at using experts by experience, according to the Belgian model, and they've got a subsidy for this from Europe. And I myself have paid a subsidy to the EAPN to look into using experts by experience in local authority poverty policy. This practice-based research is currently underway in a number of municipalities. And the successful use of experts by experience shows how important it is in the EU to swap knowledge and share best practices with one another in the field of combating poverty. But using experts by experience is also the model of inclusive growth. Growth for all, but also by all. More inclusive than that you can't get. Ladies and gentlemen, on this journey to the future, it's not so much about taking along as much stuff as possible. It's far more about taking as many people as possible with us. I want to travel to a society with opportunities for all, a society where everyone benefits from prosperity, with growth for and by all of us. That's the all-inclusive destination I want to go to. Today, let us firm up our travel plans, because today we'll get all sorts of contributions to the social pillar and how to give it shape. Once again, I'd like to thank Commissioner Thyssen very much indeed, because she has put her head above the parapet and she has encouraged everyone to make their contributions to the social pillar. I'm really curious to see what all those contributions will have come to by the end of this year, so that we have a really robust and solid pillar which will provide a basis for the whole of Europe. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Europe is about people, and it's important that all those people can be brought along with us. I'd like to wish you the very best of inspiration to give shape to this today, and once again, thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm very pleased that the people are really putting their hand to the wheel, because that's the way it is. We all have to do our bit. Thank you.